This is round 1 of the daily, and we are on the play with a great hand. We can Deathrite, and then turn 2 we probably drop Tarmogoyf. Yeah, but something that's kind of bad is that we need to fetch to make our Deathrite the best, and we want the fetch line in play to make the boom bust play. But this is never a mulligan, of course. It's possible that our opponent starts with a fetch line as well, so that gives us another option. Could have fetched here on turn 1 to potentially have the, like I said, to have the boom bust play available, but I still think it's not really necessary. Now the problem is I don't have red mana, so it might not really be all that amazing. So the boom bust seems kind of bad, and we might be playing the Junt Mirror, so I'm kind of afraid of him dropping a Confident, which we wouldn't be able to answer. So I'm going to Thoughtseize him first and see what he has. If he's playing Burn, then that wouldn't have been amazing, but I think that's fine. He has a very good hand for the Junt Mirror, being able to bolt our first Shaman and now this. So I could Inquisition so that we at least get the Tarmogoyf, and then we leave him with the Confidence, which we either have to erase or deal with otherwise. I think that's better than taking one of the Confidence, and taking Lingering Souls without having Deathrite Chain active is suicidal, so kind of have to do that. Could get a Stomping Ground here, allowing us to cast Boom if we draw another fetch land, which might be very reasonable. On the other hand, we would want to play the Tarmogoyf next turn anyway. If he has to sacrifice a fetch land for the Confident, we can make the red through that. But I think we want the Tarmogoyf in play first anyway, so he has perfect mana basically, so now we just try to burn him out, basically raise him through the card advantage he gains from Confident. And if he plays a second Confident, that shouldn't be too difficult with the help of Deathrite Chain and a large Tarmogoyf. But it relies on our creatures surviving and him basically not drawing into exactly the right cards. We could also try to set up a bust here, but that's also kind of dangerous against an active Confident. Just something to keep in mind. So we don't necessarily have to boom, especially if it will cost us an activation of Deathrite Chain. That's not a card I like to see here. How do we react to that? Our Deathrite Chain is pretty insane. He can keep Liliana around, that's actually not a big deal. But we might want to get her off our back anyway, because we are very low on actual cards to play right now. Oh, that's actually kind of difficult. It's clear that we want to activate Deathrite Chain in response, but do we keep the 4/5? It's going to be very well, it's going to take large chunks out of his life total at least, maybe even do some more stuff. But if we don't keep the Deathrite Chain, he's going to have a very good Lingering Souls and Flash It Back and so on. think we have to sacrifice Deathrite Shame and keep the larger creature. If this forces us to respect Liliana a little more, but it's just so much more powerful. Here, if I attack Liliana, I think he just blocks with his Confident. But it's possible that he has another Liliana in hand. I'm not going to cast my Pulse here because I know that he has 2 Confidence and he might play it, and then I still have the option to Pulse. Now, it's also possible that he goes for the Lingering Souls tokens, and then I want the Pulse against the tokens to put on more pressure. It's interesting that he let the Liliana die. Didn't think that was happening, but now I would get really punished if he has a second one. Could have attacked him for 4 damage, taking him down to 11, I think. I'm going to get Blood Crypt. I can still get Stomping Ground with the other lands, so that Lightning Bolt should also be pretty good. Now, if I Lightning Bolt his first Confident, then it's possible. Well, then he probably plays his second one, but that leaves me the option to Maelstrom Pulse 3 of his spirits, which seems to be more important. I was going to play this more aggressively towards reducing his life total, but the Liliana really put a stop to my plans, and I had to make a difficult decision with the Deathrite Shame and the Tarmogoyf. But given that he hasn't dealt with the Tarmogoyf yet and is blocking it on a relatively high life total, gives me some hope. Now, one way this could continue is by him flashbacking Lingering Souls and casting Dark Confident. But as long as I'm keeping Tarmogoyf around, things aren't looking too bad. Oh, he does have a Lightning Bolt in his hand, so he could have countered my Maelstrom Pulse. Another Boom Bust, not really what we need here. But I just have to pulse his spirits, I think. Well, if he chump blocks again, I might actually want to pulse his Confident. But he still has 3 cards, which might be anything. So the thing is, he certainly can get Blood Crypt with Marsh Flats, and if he plays this correctly, he just responds to my pulse with a bolt on his spirit, and then I lose to his Confident. So I'm going to entice him to chump block the Tarmogoyf again, which he did before. And as long as he does that, I'm actually fine pulsing the Confident. If he fetches Blood Crypt or non-white land end of turn, I'm also going to boom bust his Temple Garden. Yeah, take one, please. Probably want to board these out against Junt again. Okay, now I really need something. That's a start. That's a pretty aggressive take there. He's down 5. Deathrite does gain life, but that actually means he isn't reducing my life totals. Another bolt means I'm basically dead though. Yeah, he has me down to 0 with bolt and Deathrite Shame. So let's see what we do here. Basically bringing in all the sweet cards for the Junt matchup. And taking out these boom busts. Even though we are on the play, I don't think that's how this matchup should be played. Now, Junt Charm is a potential card, but this is really about not having too many dead cards overall. We could cut an Inquisition, because drawing the discard spells later is not what we want to do. I like Abrupt Decay. And I think we want the Battle Skull. It's kind of expensive, so it might be worse than another Abrupt Decay. Or we might want another Abrupt Decay anyway. So that would force us to take out one more card. Maybe the Pulse. The Abrupt Decay deals with almost everything we can pulse except for Lingering Souls tokens. Well, that's a good reason to run Pulse, I guess. Another way to go about this is to just take out more discard spells, because the removal spells are just going to be better. So, for example, playing no Inquisitions, still being able to Thoughtseize everything. Yeah, I'm going to try that. On the play, we should have time to actually cast our removal spells. That's a great hand. So the only disadvantage of this hand is that our Tarmogoyf might die to Lightning Bolt. But other than that, it's really great. Our mana also isn't perfect, and I'm going to run out Verdant Catacombs first. Simply because if he has a turn 1 play, I probably need to Lightning Bolt his Deathrite Shaman. And I can't afford to do that during my turn because of my curve, which is amazing, so my curve is really great. If he has a discard spell, things are a little bit different, because then everything will be much slower and we'll have to make a different plan. Let's hope it's a Deathrite and not a discard spell. Okay, we can't cast that Kitchen Things yet, but I feel like I had to Lightning Bolt turn 1, given the chance. And we still have the Liliana as a potential play. If we want to +1 it, we can just discard the Kitchen Things, although it's still a good card. It's worse than Bloodbraid Elf, of course. I would also like to just -2 Liliana. Getting rid of his next creature and also making sure that he can't drop a Liliana to punish us. So this Kitchen Finks is actually interesting, because it protects us very well from a Liliana on his side and adds far more pressure to the board. But Lilianaing his Deathrite Shame and following it up with a Bloodbraid Elf is also pretty amazing. Well, with only 3 mana, the best thing he can do is a Kitchen Finks of his own, which is good but not unbeatable, or a Lingering Souls, which we can answer with Bloodbraid pretty nicely. So I think just going for Liliana here is better. Okay, yeah, it's Lingering Souls. Adding a sorcery to the board, basically. I would like to +1 Liliana here, but it's kind of difficult with the draw we have. We want Kitchen Finks and Deathrite in play, but we have to Bloodbraid Elf now. It's just too powerful not to do so. And now we probably have to take another 2 to have access to a white source. I think we can afford that. I'm not sure if we actually want to +1 our Liliana here. Because discarding either one of these is kind of bad. I think we can get rid of the Deathrite because it's so slow. But the same could be said about Kitchen Finks. Like, this match is probably not coming down to Kitchen Finks being all that amazing. But Liliana is dealing with any creature he plays next turn. So that counts for something. We could keep the Deathrite because it's going to force him to have an answer, much more than Kitchen Finks. Okay, let's try it like that. It also means that any expensive card we draw, we can play in addition to Deathrite Shame. Okay, we got a Bloodbraid Elf out of his hand. Means he probably is going land Bloodbraid Elf here. Because the way the board is looking, he probably wants to Bloodbraid to get out of this mess. This is where the Blackleaf Cliffs do come into play tapped, so he might have to take another 2 or 3 damage, or might have to get a forest, so he might be contemplating other options. He does have another Lingering Souls flashback option, so that's not the worst. Okay. Might also be missing his 4th land completely. No, he has a fetch land. Down to 6, and we are going to drop a Deathrite next turn. That does feel pretty good, although this draw isn't really great. Now, if we attack with Tarmogoyf and Cobra, he's going to kill our Tarmogoyf by blocking with a Tarmogoyf and a Spirit. And he can block the Cobra with the other Spirit. But that would mean that our Liliana kills his Tarmogoyf and then the board is clear. I think that's worse than just playing Death Ride and passing the turn. We could force him to sacrifice something here, but I don't think that's really what we want to be doing. Okay, I think he must have another solution for Deathrite Chain in hand. Otherwise he wouldn't discard Lightning Bolt. But we are somewhat behind on this board anyway, so hopefully we can draw something to change that. I'm also hoping that he can't afford to attack Liliana with his spirits for fear of being attacked back with everything we have. There's the second Lightning Bolt. And he just drops a land as well. So actually, I was kind of right about him and having another answer, but not much else. So now, it's basically a top deck battle. We don't have a Confident in play but the Cobra, so that's kind of bad. But we do have the Planeswalker, which does die if we don't draw anything though. And we do a Marsh Flats, that's not good. So we could attack with both again, just to take him down to 3 life. That might not be the worst play, giving us far more outs to kill him, and also making our hasty Bloodbraid Elves much better. I think I like that. He might also just take only 2 from the Cobra, but that looks like a much weaker block, because 4 life with Verdant Catacomb in play isn't that much better. Hope we are not risking our lives here. If he attacks us back for 5, we go down to 6, so Bloodbraid into Lightning Bolt or something crazy could kill us. But I feel like this attack still maximizes our chances. And if he breaks on his next draw step like we did, then he might not even be able to attack anymore with his spirits, saving our Liliana. Our outs aren't that great, but this attack should actually make some sense. And as I expected, he's just eating the Cobra, going down to 3. Let's see, this draw step is very important. Raging Ravine, okay. So now, if he attacks with both spirits, then any removal spell is also now to just win here. Let's see if we can still fetch something. We have Godless Shrine and Blood Crypt and Temple Garden in play. But Overgrown Tomb still fetchable. Okay. I believe we just fetch here. His next attack is only for 4, 7, 8, 9, so we can go down to 10. Okay, he does attack Liliana. That seems really crazy, because now all Lilianas are also outs for me. Oh no, that's not true. That was just wrong. They wouldn't have been outs. They would have been good cards, but So we didn't draw something to immediately kill him, which there would have been quite a lot of cards. But if he doesn't top deck completely crazy, then we are still looking to be in pretty good shape. Taking 2 here isn't the end of the world. We have a blocker for Tarmogoyf. And he just has to play this quite aggressively or draw into something like a Deathray Chain. If he draws Dark Confident, he simply can't cast them. His best draw is basically Lingering Souls. Debating whether to attack here or not. Only attacking for 1. We still don't draw anything. And we can't attack into his Raging Ravine Spirit combo. Well, we could attack, but then he just eats this and jump blocks the Goyf. And I don't think that's what we want. Especially because we would take a lot of damage on the backswing. We want to draw one of a lot of cards here before he does. Okay, that's a good start. So let's see if it's enough to win here. Doesn't kill him immediately, but the spirits should be very, very good here. I'm going to attack with everything, because if he has a removal spell for one of the spirits, then I'm going to want to make sure that I deal some damage this turn. And if he doesn't, then it's still better to play it like this. There's some combination of cards that could kill us here. But holding back 1 spirit and leaving him at 2 isn't better, I feel like. Looks like he's contemplating something here at end of turn. No plays. I don't think he should be able to overcome this life total discrepancy. But if he has a Bloodbraid into Pulse, it might still be a very open game. No, it looks like we got that one. That was pretty close. Batterskull would have been very good, so it looks like we want to keep that in. I also like going down on the discard spells. Maybe Jund Charm is okay. No, I don't really like it. I like how our deck looks like, being very late game oriented, but still having all the explosive cards in Deathray Chain, Lotus Cobra, and so on. Here the question is if we keep a 1-lander on the draw, and I think we do. This is a matchup about attrition, and if we draw lands, our hand is very good. We might be forced to respond to whatever he does, but he doesn't have a turn 1 play, so that's a very good start. Now we kind of have to get black-green here to be able to Thoughtseize and Deathray Chain and Cobra. But of course, if we do, then we might not be able to bolt whatever he does on turn 2. But if we drop the Deathrite Chain, then we can basically force him to deal with that rather than play a 2-drop himself. And if he lets the Deathrite survive, we are also very fine with that. If he drops it confident here, we can make the red of the Shaman to Lightning Bolt. And of course, if we draw land, that's very, very, very good. And we did. So we are going to run out the Cobra, and then we have 2 mana to Thoughtseize and Bolt him. Wow, that's an expensive hand with very bad mana. He has Raging Ravine and Temple Garden, and cannot cast any of his spells. The Terminate would probably be the strongest card here, because we really need our mana. And of course, if the game goes longer, this hand is pretty good. So we can always remove the Lingering Souls from the graveyard once he's played it. I'm not scared of Olivia because we have... No, we don't have Lightning Bolt, but we have a lot of removal for Olivia in our deck. We have less removal for Batterskull, but he's so far away from that I don't think it's a big deal. I kind of like just taking the Bloodbraid here and hoping to find another solution for Olivia, which, as I said, he still can't cast. So kind of going for the plan to screw him as well. I'm going to bolt this just to be safe, just to be sure, and then hope that he doesn't draw into land quickly. Okay, that wasn't what I was planning, but okay. Thing is, what does he do with his Terminate now? Might have been a mistake to not take the Terminate, but now if we draw land, we are doing very well. Okay, doesn't look like it's happening. So now he can Lingering Souls, and we don't have our Deathrite anymore. Yeah, that seems like we didn't play that very well. Feel like we take his Terminate, and he has a much weaker position, basically. Probably overthought what was happening there. But we still have lots of great outs if we just start drawing lands. Now it's a bit worse. So his hand is Batterskull and Olivia, and if he draws a land he can cast Olivia, which is pretty bad. We need a white for Lingering Souls and Kitchen Things. So let's just get the Temple Garden. And I almost like Kitchen Things more than Olivia here. Lingering Souls is going to gain 2 life also by blocking the spirits. Yeah, that's actually better. Because he can flashback Lingering Souls if he doesn't draw land, and then we need to keep up with the spirit production. That was probably a bit premature here. I kind of want to cast Bloodbraid, but I almost have to wait until he drops Liliana to actually get rid of it. So I might want to drop Lingering Souls or Kitchen Things this turn instead of the Bloodbraid. Now, Flashback Lingering Souls only costs 2, so I'm giving up some mana by doing that, but I'm so far on the defensive that's not a big deal. I have 2 green sources. I could get another black and white source. Not that I really need to, but don't really see a problem with that. So now I also gave away that I don't have a bolt, which was certainly a bad play by me, but we might still get there. Going to Blood Braid and attack him, because that gives me some good outs to to Olivia. If I cascade into a removal spell now, then I still have the -2 of Liliana to deal with Olivia. He takes 4 here. If he still doesn't have the land, that would be amazing for me, despite me not really playing this very well, I have to say. I'm getting kind of lucky here with his draws and everything. And with the Liliana, I'm not scared of anything, so I can now just drop my own Better Skull, attack with Blood Braid, and have both discard and Liliana next turn. Even if he takes the damage from Blood Braid, which he doesn't, I don't think there is much he could do to actually kill us. Still think it's correct to trade Confident and Blood Braid here, because if the game goes longer now that we have Better Skull in hand, don't think that we can lose. He's probably going to try to go for Cascade into something that destroys the Better Skull. And he found a Deathrite Chain, okay. So he does in fact just chump block here, which I wasn't expecting. His hand is so good, it's really amazing. Now, Better Skull he would be able to cast with an extra land, but we have our own Better Skull, so that's not really a big deal. We could do is just -2 Liliana to get his Deathrite off the board, but I think can't really risk that. So let's see. Blood Braid certainly is a scary Cascader, and Olivia doesn't seem too amazing here. However, well, if Liliana goes out of bounds, then we just lose, of course. But I think we can actually beat a Better Skull, not easily, but we can beat it, and I think we have a good shot against Olivia as well. Hopefully. He has 2 anyway, so let's just take the Blood Braid. Now, if we play Liliana, we can also play double Deathrite, and then we have him in chump block mode. So let's do that. Okay, let's see what happens. If he has an untapped land, he's just going to play a Better Skull. Otherwise he gets Liliana. No, he drew a Blood Braid Elf, okay. Revealing Liliana, these trade. Okay, but that doesn't really change anything about the board. Yeah, I think we have this. He's forced to block, and we can start draining him with our Deathrites. It doesn't really matter what he draws here. Whoa, yeah, that was much closer than I wanted it to, and not taking that Terminate was certainly a big mistake. Keeping that one land hand was also kind of greedy, but, well, drawing all these spells, or having all these spells was certainly amazing. So, yeah, interesting game. See you next round.